Instagram. You got to
there we go.
Go.
We're all set.
Go live. Do you push live on Instagram also? You got to go over there and do that.
In Instagram, let's see. Let's make sure.
Yeah, you know where you downloaded your stream key, that you have to leave that screen open and then you go live.
Oh, got it. Well, we are live right now.
Okay.
While I do that whole thing.
Yep. Hey, everybody.
Hello, everybody.
Yeah.
I've got Mr. Dr. Cody Goldman here, one of my good friends over many, many years. Can we call you Dr. Cody?
Yeah, I didn't go
Let's call you Dr. Cody. How about that?
Evil medical school for 4 years and called Mr.
That's awesome.
That's Austin Powers' old school line.
Those of you who have never seen that before, of which you can just leave if you haven't seen it before.
Yeah,
it's a required movie to watch as a human being. Mike Myers did an amazing job back in the day. Anyway, man, it's so good to have you on. We did a little live yesterday, and we're just going to continue riffing and having a good time talking about some topics. And so today we're going to be talking about masculinity and femininity, rebalancing power in today's world. And really, you and I both been through a lot in relationships and as businessmen, and really just we thought, what a fun topic to talk about masculinity and femininity. In and of itself, it was like masculine and feminine, but also the masculine and feminine that's in all of us. That because we all have both of it. So, where do we want to start? Like one of the starting points is like, are we losing touch with natural masculine and feminine energies? And I wanted to pose that question to you. And you work with a lot of women as well, so I'm excited to see what your perspective is on it.
Yeah, what I was feeling into would be really cool is to do this from a macro and a micro level, from a cosmic and from a quantum. So let's go like macro, like masculine, feminine principles. Masculine, feminine principles, not gender. It's a principle of gender. And so you could look at it like the universal, let's go really high level, like the universal great power within, whatever you want to call it, splits into two creative forces. And so that's what I've seen masculine and feminine to be on a higher level. I think it's nice to have that as an understanding before diving into that. So we've got these two principles, and these two principles rely on each other. These two principles, they need each other. That is the sort of the yin and yang, but it is important to have those principles. And so it's interesting as we start going down to a micro level. What I've noticed is a lot of concepts get placed on these words that may or may not be true. Now, I'm not saying what truth is, but they start getting watered down as we get into that. So it goes from this incredible principle, right? So like the principle of creation, right? So you could say the feminine, masculine, if we were to try to make it its most distilled down, like what is it? Well, I guess what you could say is from a cosmic level, you have, I like the idea of a river and a banks. And the river is the feminine. It's this, dude, sometimes it's going slow, it's flowing all over, it's all these different directions, it's moving, it wants to create. It wants to create. And if you look at the banks, that could be the masculine. It's neither of them are better or worse or bad or good, but the banks give this incredible flow and force some direction, right? So I like from that angle, because then if we go down from there, everything we go down from there is just going to be concepts we place on it, not right or wrong, but it's a nice little framework to think with.
I like that. I really appreciate that flow and that natural flow. So when we're talking about that in that frame, what are you experiencing right now in the world and in society with the masculine women, right? Women being more in their masculine in many cases. Like I want to talk about that one to start with. Like what is your perspective on that when women are showing up more in their masculine and doing it and showing up more exhausted and putting in more time, energy, money, things like that into let's say, I guess, in the work frame?
Yeah, that's a great. I love this because I'm probably going to bring something to this that may be, a little bit controversial.
Yeah.
But if you look at, this is interesting. If you look at polarity, okay, polarity, masculine and feminine, polarity, good and bad, polarity, hot and cold. These are the illusion of the pair of opposites. Anything that's in polarity is being diminished down from the universal, but it's necessary to have this universe, this world. So if we look at it like this, is like those polarities are necessary within us. That's why I really like to get away from this one is this and this one is this, right? This one's good, this one's bad. But I'm seeing when you see both sides of a subject and you love and appreciate both sides of a subject, you fall into more of a universal view. There's more possibilities in your life. I'm saying this because if you identify, I am just masculine, you have limited possibility. If you identify, I am just feminine, there's limited possibility. So what I've seen more and more, and what I've encouraged people to do is to actually drop into allowing both to be there when they're needed. And so to address what you were saying was, in our society, what's happening in our world is, of course, there's been a huge movement about having women, be more in power. But you've seen what happens is women who try to run a business in the masculine type of energy get exhausted and burnt out. And there's such a great example of this. I want to just say this to the women listening. If you want to be in your power, you can run your business in your feminine power, and you will run circles around men all day long. And it's interesting, even a little example. Let's say there's Tony Robbins gives an example of, like, if a woman walks into a room and there's all men in the boardroom, and that woman tries to act like a man, it's just really just you're not going to get through. But if you're in your feminine power, you own that whole room. And so I love women to be able to use both of these, but feel into this, because it's almost like the men and women separate from masculine and feminine. It's like men trying to act like a woman and a woman trying to act like a man. It's we need to have both of these for this time and the place. But I think that's the first piece. Is I'd love to encourage women to be in their power. Their power doesn't mean you have to be the banks of the river. That doesn't have to be that, right? Yeah. And so that's one piece of it. Yeah.
I love that. Okay. Man, that is I think a very powerful thing for all of us to hear, because I know from my perspective, when I've met women that are just boss, they are not necessarily in their masculine at all. They show up, they look good, they have that confidence, that presence, almost some part of that balance of the masculine, but then they're truly in their feminine. That's going to stand out the most. And I think that is where I have that most respect for that female entrepreneur businesswoman, when they are just fully in their power. And it's incredible, because even us, like, let's switch it to the masculine side. And this is not, I'll just put it this way. The more we also can tap into our feminine, the receiving, right? When you talk about abundance, wealth, there's a receiving side, because the men will go out, go chop wood, go do the thing, go drive, go push forward, go pierce through. And that is a very, very important piece of being an entrepreneur. And there is that power. Like, we need to learn more about how do we tap into our feminine to attract the money, the clients, the customers and whatnot, to come in. So I'm curious for you, Cody, and your business success and your different companies that you've had, and you've been in e-commerce, you've been a successful chiropractor. What have you learned about tapping into the powerful feminine when it comes to business and, let's say, abundance?
Yeah, that's a great question, man. I love your questions. Always so fun, man. It's so interesting. I went to Abraham Hicks seminar. I've been to 17 of those. You know who Abraham Hicks is, right?
Oh, yeah.
So I went to the first land cruise. It was a cruise, but it was on land. I'm not sure what it was, but it was in Cancun. Okay. And I was at a point in my life.
Wait, what's a land cruise?
Yeah, it's a cruise, but you're on land. It's basically a hotel in Cancun. I don't know. That's what they called it. I was like, I could never figure out why it was a cruise. But
got it. Okay, I'll leave that one alone.
I don't know. Yeah, I never figured it out.
Okay.
I can't explain it. So it was in Cancun, and I was at a time where I was like really almost frustrated, because I was very successful in the chiropractic office, but I was just so busy and I was doing so much. I couldn't tell like why. I just was like frustrated, and I wasn't listening to self. And so my thought was, I need to get in touch with my feminine. That's just what my man brain said. I want to, And what I thought was, I want to get in touch with my feminine because I want to feel. I think many men might do this potentially, but I did this. I want to get in touch with my feminine because I want to feel. That's interesting as we associate feminine with feeling, right?
Yeah.
So at this this seminar, we're in this beautiful resort, and there was tons of 700 amazing people. I found this group of women, and we connected. And I said, "Hey, would you mind if I spend the day with you?" And the reason I want to spend the day with you is I actually want to be immersed in feminine energy. Like I want to feel what it's like to just be in your energy. And they said, sure. So I said, yeah, I'm just going to kind of be this, like this, just be part of the girls here just to see what happens. So they rented a cabana. They got chocolate strawberries. They got champagne. They got lobster. We stayed at this cabana right on the beach. And that's all they did was order food and chat. And about 4 hours in, I had a major cognition. I had this cognition. I am not a woman. And it sounds like a funny thing to say, but it was so perfect because I go, oh my God, this is not me. This is not my energy. I was like, I'm actually kind of bouncing this energy of the group. It wasn't how, and I realized at that moment, okay, I do already feel, but I feel in a very different way. And that was the first time I realized that there's a distinction between how the sexes feel, but women or feminine isn't just feeling. Now, fast forwarding, and I know you, AJ, I perceive you feeling so much more than sometimes the women you're around. So these things are not connected together. We all feel, but again, that's so just putting that back to you.
Yeah.
Feeling truly is not just exclusive to the feminine.
I love that. Thank you for that story. That's great. It is when you're around enough women for long enough, it is like you start to feel into the energies and how the dynamics work. And it's so fun. Like I just absolutely love the feminine, and respect the feminine, and have learned so much from it. My former partner in business, like, man, I've learned a lot about myself. I learned a lot about how women work there. For me, I am a man who has always felt more, who has always been more in touch with his feelings. Whether I knew how to deal with them all or how to sit with them, I didn't know how to sit with all that earlier on. But I didn't realize, like, man, I thought everyone felt the emotions like I did. So when not just triggering emotions, I mean just being out there and interacting with people, I was for a while picking up on other people's emotions, feeling that they were mine. So there was a discernment that came about when you feel a lot of things, or some empaths. Let's say people say, "Oh, I'm an empath. I feel everything." It's like, oh, okay. Until I learned, wow, one, being around females and women, from my mom to my sister to girlfriends to women in business and all that. Man, it was quite a journey for me to just realize the discernment of what's mine, what's theirs. First of all, right? That's important. Like, is what I'm feeling my own feeling here, or is that something that's coming over here? Because, man, I was a wide open. I'm a manifestor. I'm a 4/6 manifestor on the human design thing. And there's a lot of stuff that I did not know about earlier on, that how to protect and how to bubble and shield so that what's mine is mine and what's theirs is theirs. That's the first part, with that discernment of masculine and feminine inside of myself and external. Then there's a second one of when things were triggering, when I was learning from other women, or in business, or interacting with women in business, there was once I got better at discerning it, I could really feel into that. And then it was like, oh, definitely I'm not a feminine. And wow, it is very powerful. It is very, very powerful to allow that into the business, and to also play with the polarity. So you talked about the polarity and the edges, or the bank. That ability to flow back and forth, I think, is really important, as opposed to staying so rigid. So rigidity, I think, is important at some points, but we've got to be able to have the ebb and flow. And understand that in any interaction, it's not just ones and zeros. It's not binary. It's also a give and take of this, a balance. When you're in partnership or even in business partnership too, man, knowing your roles and all that and having it illustrated or written down of like, here's our roles and here's what you're going to do and here's what I'm going to do is great and all. And that helps most of the time. And sometimes there's just this flow you can't really control. It's just it's a feeling. It's an energetic feeling and a way of just playing with both of them, that polarity and that balance.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I was just feeling into that about what have you noticed? Let me ask you this, because I'll say I've had women who I've been around who will say like, man, when I'm around you, it's so easy to be in my feminine. And
Yep.
you know, so what is that? What is that does that? Like, what is that you know, what do you think actually creates that, and vice versa? Like maybe you're around a woman who's really in her you know, her feminine, and you can drop in your masculine. What creates that?
That's such a great question. I haven't really thunk about that, but I'm going to feel into it in this moment and kind of channel that through.
Yeah.
So you and I have known each other a while, and we've been around other very powerful, incredible women in our lives, right? From Megan to Micra to so many other women that were in the containers that we spend a lot of time in with other people. And man, wow, power. I mean, you and I have been around some really, really amazingly powerful women. And what I first want to say, what an honor it is as a man to have a woman say, I just want to be around your energy. I love your energy. I feel more in my feminine. It's because they feel safe, right? It comes down to safety, I think, first and foremost, that safe feeling of like, they just want to be around. I've literally been just floored and almost cried sometimes when some women who were going through something at an event, a festival, a business conference, whatever, just said like, can I just be around you? Can I hug you? Can I hang out around you? And I was like, why? It's like, I just feel really, really in my feminine. I feel really good around you. And it feels incredible. So I think first and foremost, maybe at those times you and I were in our masculine and we were in a safe place. But I also want to kind of contradict myself and say, maybe we were in a balance of the two, where it was safe to go be either way, right? Instead of it just being, oh, I'm just this masculine that the female wants to hang out with. I think it was really that safe place to be authentic, to be themselves. And I want to take it to that point, that question. I want to pose that. And if you have something else to add, please do. My next question is going to be like, how do we then, with this polarity of masculine and feminine out there and all the stuff going on in the world, how do we reclaim that like authentic power for ourselves, both for men and for women?
Yeah, I mean, I love you. As you were speaking, you went right where my mind was going. Let's just for a second talk about the wiring of the universe. Science. If you put two positive poles together, what do?
They go this way.
Two positive poles repair.
Yeah, repel. That was the word.
Repel. Yep. Positive negative pole attract. So interesting enough, if you drop fully into because remember, masculine, feminine polarities, you drop into masculine, you are a magnet for the opposite. Okay. That doesn't mean it's good or bad. It's just that's what's happening. So what I love what you said though was taken to the next level was when you're in equilibrium. So feel into this. Remember what happens when you collapse polarity. In other words, here's what I mean by when I say collapse polarity. I don't see any more benefit to being in my masculine than I do feminine. I don't see any more benefit to being feminine, right? No more benefits or drawbacks either way. I've owned and loved both these parts of myself and have integrated them. Therefore, I'm in quantum possibility. So that's what's interesting, because now we're not just a magnet for opposite. We are a magnet for whatever the universe has in store for us.
Beautifully put.
If I could drop this mic, I would do it.
Yeah, that was beautifully put. And those who are listening to that, I want to let's really let that sink in. Being in tune with the universe, we have these masculine and feminine energies to be tapping into, and I think that's what then leads us into authenticity, right? I think it can be hard to be authentic. There's some people that are just themselves, and they are unapologetically themselves, and they don't give a rat. You know, they're just them, and I think they don't know any other way to be themselves than just by being themselves. And that's it's not necessarily rare. I've got a lot of people in my life like that, and I really observe, and then I feel good about being around that person because it reminds me, am I coming from past programming in the way I'm showing up in whatever area of my life, or am I really being me? And I think that's an important topic. That could even be like a whole nother topic in and of itself. But with our time left here, in the next five-ish minutes, I think though it all ties in with the masculine and feminine and being authentically you. How do you see that authenticity playing in here?
Yeah, that's interesting, man. One of the things I've appreciated about you, AJ, is like, to me, you're so self-reflective, and I've noticed that, like, you observe people when people are with you, they feel seen. And one of the reasons I think that is because you are self-reflective, and you've been working to see yourself. The more parts of yourself you can see, the more parts of yourself others can see.
Nice.
And therefore they see more themselves and feel seen. That seemed like a tongue twister what I just said, but I think it made sense, and maybe it didn't. I don't know. But I've watched that happen with you, and I've actually modeled that with you. I'm like, man, this guy, like, I've watched you be around people, and just like, it's like, my God, people feel just really loved in his presence. And being around you many times drops me out of my mind, because I'll, the mind is kind of like this: survival. Are you safe? Are you not safe? Do we get along? Do we not get along? Right. Versus heart is, I am me. And so maybe that kind of leads into what you just asked of, like, there's a whole other topic too of mind and heart, but what does that even mean to be yourself, to be authentic? If I was to go again, cosmic and quantum, like, what does it mean? It means you without polarity. So what's interesting about where we're going with this is, honestly, androgyny would be collapsing of polarity, where you're literally in this neutral state. Is God a man? Is God a woman? Is, like, I think people kind of know, is the universe a woman? Is the universe a man? Those things happen when we break down into this like more this level of physicality. And so I think that's quite interesting to look at that and really reflect and go, man, the authentic self just is.
Yeah.
But that's not even Cody or AJ. So we may not want to go there, because I don't know if I want my mind to explode at this point on live,
Yeah. We gotta be careful of that, right? No, it's I am that I am. I really believe that the more work that we do as a hypnotherapist and a performance coach on every single day I'm on calls with people, all I'm really doing is stripping down and helping let go of, process, and remove the stuff, the samskaras, the blocks in the river, the blocks in the flow, so that we can then get to the essence of that authenticity and who that person really is. And I love working with the masculine. I love working with the feminine. I work with probably a good equal balance of the two. And the more that we let go and do that work to uncover, then authenticity is able to come out. Authenticity is able to be, here's who I am, here's how I can express through this person without any of the past trauma, past programming that is with masculine and feminine, right? People have traumas from masculine and feminine in their life, whether it's sexual, whether it's relational, whatever it may be. So that there's the stuff that's, nature versus nurture. That is another piece of the masculine and feminine puzzle here. And we can continue to do kind of, segments and different series on this topics, because we're kind of going all over the place. But I think it's really, really fascinating what you just said there, how that authenticity just is.
It just is. Yeah. And by the way, you guys are watching this, both AJ and I, we're so encouraging you guys to send questions. You might be watching this a week later or whatever it is. Like, shoot us questions, comments. Like, we're having so much fun, and we wanted to be out there and just be with you guys. We know we're both such loving we love people so much that we like say, you know what, let's go live and just have conversations that are just mind expanding, heart expanding, you know? So just encourage you guys to comment in there. I want to say something. There's a book, he's not alive anymore, but he has a book called I Am That. It's Sri Nisargadatta Maharaj. The book is in itself is just the whole thing is psychedelic. It's amazing. But this guy, he sat in his house and people just came to him. He just was in his house and people came to him and started asking him questions. And the book is all of the recordings of his questions. And I remember it was one of the questions, someone asked this question about the authentic self. And he taught that the authentic self is the awareness of one's true nature. So the authentic self is the awareness of one's true nature. I'm like, whoa, that's like just that distinction. And he said, your true nature is timeless and beyond the concept of subject and object. When you figure that out, you're probably just going to turn into a million cosmic pieces.
That is a beautiful way to kind of end there. That's beautiful. We do need a mic for you that you could just drop every time you say those kind of things. Just one that's not connected to something.
Exactly.
No, thank you for that. I think I remember that's a big book, right? I Am That. Isn't that a thick one? Okay. Yeah.
Really thick. Thanks for noticing.
I have that book. I just have not read that one yet. So I'm going to have to bring that back up. And we're going to talk.
If you get it, it's one that you would never want to read from front to back. It's one where you're like, let me just flip to any page and just exactly.
Yeah, drop in on those places. Okay. So we're going to talk about book resources. We're going to talk about doing breathwork stuff. Like, by the way, I have a breathwork here in about an hour. It's a group hypnotherapy breathwork combination. I do it every Wednesday. It's called $1 Million Breath. And so that's coming up soon. I've already posted in my story and all that. But if you have questions, if you have any other topics and things you want to talk about with us, leave the comments below there and we'll go through them and gather them for the next one. So we have some Q&A stuff. So I think this was a great, wonderful start. Dr. Cody, thank you, man. It's always good to hang out with you. It's always good to get your perspective. You've taught me a lot in our relationship, in our friendship. And man, we always have a great time. So thanks again for coming on.
Yeah, thanks, Aaron. Appreciate it. Talk to you soon.
All right, buddy. Later.
Man.